be told you Sabbath any day. Take heed and do what Moses said. Let's open this Bible. Exodus chapter 31, starting at verse 13. Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye should keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Ahayah that do sanctify you. For ye should keep the Sabbaths therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul should be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to Ahayah. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he should be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel should keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. Leviticus chapter 23, the middle of 32. From evening unto evening shall ye celebrate your Sabbaths.
My phone down? Can everybody put their phones on vibrate, please?
Really made.
Hands up they shoot, hands down they shoot. My people suffering these curses, we going through the blues. The evening news perpetually portraying our atrocities, fulfilling of the prophecy in Deuteronomy. Only oppressed and scored, we would die by the sword. Never consider in our hearts, it's his laws we ignore. Moses warning of the product of our captivity. They want all things, we serve our enemies. Jacob's trouble is real. The Bible's the truth, the only thing that's good, and where you can find you. You're living proof that our God is a God of prophecy. No man can tell you the beginning, nor the finale. Reverse psychology is the sorcery the enemy uses. Our people destroyed for lack of knowledge, we grow up in confusion. The illusion is not real, written by the white man. It become kryptonite, and you're Superman, Superman.
Gird your mind, gird your mind, gird your mind. Gird up your mind in a spiritual war. Gird your mind, gird your mind, gird your mind.
Gird up your mind, put on the whole suit. Get your hammer, your sword, and top your boots. It's a spiritual fight, the Bible's a form of defense. He really loves his children, then leave us defenseless. But we speak proud things, lean on our own strength. His word is a protection, it's our heritage. Walking around without a compass with no sense of direction. Psychological magic, we despise your weapon. Remember no weapon shall harm us, let our enemies disarm us. We forget our history and how mighty his arm was. Fighting against principalities that rule us in darkness. And we're ignorant to the fact that it's Satan that charm us. He warned us. Many unbelievers report, and the blood of the covenant, they were trodden afoot. Let no man deceive you and take you out of your book. All the unbelievers are getting cooked.
Gird up your mind in a spiritual war. Gird your mind, gird your mind, gird your mind. Gird up your mind in a spiritual war. Gird your mind, gird your mind, gird your mind.
Let's open this Bible. Ephesians chapter 6, starting at verse 11. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand, to stand.
Got it twice. Huh? Really? Really? Had a dream, I got it twice. That's what I told them. Let's get it, y'all. Come on, y'all. Oh, man. Sister, can we sit down and get started the class now? We fell out too. No, me and you fell out. Yeah, I got him twice. Boop, boop.
In the face.
In the face.
In the face. No, you probably
Backhand
seen me
too.
slap
No,
you yesterday.
yeah, last week. It was necessary.
We live.
Are we live? Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Give our praise and honor to the Most High Ahayah by Hashem Yasha. Thank Him as always for bestowing his undeserved kindness, His mercy on His people on this high holy day. Allowing us to have the strength and the courage to sit before you all, to be used as a vessel by Him to present His lesson in remembrance of the Feast of Dedications. A lot of people in the world don't know what the Feast of Dedications is, never heard of it, right? I think they're getting amped up for Christmas coming up. You know, when the Bible, the Most High has His holy days that we must follow. Remember, the holy days have to do with our salvation. It's remembrance of the Most High powerful works, His wonders that He has done upon the earth to save His people from, in most cases, eradication. Okay? Some might say, well, we ain't got to celebrate the Feast of Dedication because it's not in Leviticus chapter 23. It's not. But because it's not in Leviticus chapter 23, does that mean we're not to worship it or honor it or remember it? No. Because during Moses' time, there was no temple. There was no temple to be destroyed, to be rebuilt, to be rededicated. So why would it be in the book of Leviticus? There's also another holy day, the Feast of Purim, which is not in Leviticus, but Most High through His Spirit. If you believe the Bible and what it says in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, and it says all scriptures are inspired by the Most High. So we believe that all scriptures are inspired by the Most High. Therefore, we're going to follow what our brethren, especially the Messiah, follow. So the first precept, then with the Feast of Dedication, we're going to show one of the primary reasons the Romans took it out, the Apocrypha, out of the Bible. We're going to show through precept that in Daniel's, there was prophesied that 4 beasts or 4 world powers would be the last world powers to rule over God's people. But in most of your Bibles without the Apocrypha, there's no mention outside of Daniel's and a couple of other records, or no history, no testimony of the Grecian Empire. So we're gonna start off giving you real history of when the Grecians ruled over us. Okay? How they ruled over us and how they set a precedent or set a standard of how to rule over God's people. Okay? When we get to these scriptures, ask yourself, why isn't the Grecian Empire in our Bible? It's prophesied in Daniel. So if someone takes something out of the Bible, which is a commandment against the Most High commanded not to add anything or take anything away, or the plagues of the prophecy of this book will be added to them. So those folks that have taken out records out of our records will be dealt with by the Most High. Does that mean you have to follow them and be dealt with them? I pray it doesn't. But let it raise up your antennas and tune yourself on what is being done, what has been done, and why it's been done against God's people. Like, why have they hidden this history? Why? And hope it intrigue you to go read the Apocrypha. My Bible comes with the Apocrypha. You can Google right now, or go on your you got iPhone, go to your App Store. You can go to your Apple Play, your, what y'all call that? Your Play Store. And you can download the King James Version of the Bible with the Apocrypha inside of it. When King James put his stamp upon his Bible that he had translated, he didn't write, that he has translated, it had the proper inside of it. Right? Like my Bible right here. Can you see that? Can you see that?
A little closer.
A little closer?
Down.
Down? Down?
Right there.
Yeah. See? Holy Bible, King James Version. It's good?
Yep.
It's good? So I ain't just, no. I didn't put the Bible together. Right? That's how it came. So let's get it. We're going to show how the Messiah followed the Feast of Dedications. So, us in this building, Awakening Ahayah Lake Church, we're disciples of Christ. Therefore, we follow what Christ did. And nothing else. So we don't care what no one say about the Feast of Dedication. If the Messiah, Yahshua, followed the Feast of Dedication, guess what? So are we. Let's get it. John chapter 10, starting at verse 22.
Come when everyone's there. John chapter 10, verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter.
And it was what?
And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication.
The Feast of Dedication. See? Keep reading.
And it was winter. And Yahshua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
So the Messiah walked into the temple to worship, to respect, honor his Father's high holy day, the Feast of Dedication. Read.
That's it for the precept.
That's it. So it's showing you that the Messiah and the Hebrews respected, followed the order of the Most High, the Feast of Dedication. Right? Now, at their time, they was following it, the temple of what Solomon built. But we're going to show that later, and Christ says not one stone of this building will be left. We're going to show during the Grecian Empire, the Hebrews, the Israelites, rebuilt the temple, and the Most High inspired the Ahayah, or the brethren, to rebuild it and to dedicate it again, and to use these 8 days as a remembrance of the power of the Most High, how he established us, rewarded us by defeating our enemies, okay? And allowing us to rebuild the temple, right? Maccabees, chapter 1, first Maccabees. In the Apocrypha.
Excuse me, Brother Eleazar. Can we get the page number in the red book?
114.
The water, page 114 in the red book. 113. Page 113 in the red book, the water. Come when everyone's there. First Maccabees chapter 1, starting at verse 1. And it reads, And it happened, after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian.
Have anyone ever heard of Alexander, the so-called Great? You heard of him? Okay. We call him Alexander the Great. All right? Let's get it.
Who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
This is the first time the Edomites took rule globally. Okay? Now check this out. I said in the book of Daniel there was 4 world powers, right? 4 beasts, right? We had Babylon, the Mede and Persians, Greece, and Rome. So it's showing you that Alexander was used to destroy the Medes and Persians empire. Right? So this would be going on the 3rd world power that rule over God's people. For God's people, disobedience. Let's get it. So this when white folks start ruling the world. Right? Let's go.
Verse 2. And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, or army, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
Let's go to 5.
Come. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die.
Let's go to 6.
Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Now, we're going to show you that this is after prophecy has been fulfilled. We're going to show you in Daniel, way before this even happened, the Most High prophesying that the king of Greece would die, and his kingdom will be divided in 4 ways. Let's go to, we're at Daniel chapter 11.
Daniel chapter 11, starting at verse 1. Count when everyone's there. Daniel chapter 11, verse 1. Also, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those.
It's the same Darius that we read about in Maccabees. We're saying that the king of Grecian will come, destroy the Median Persians, and it will be divided to the 4 winds. But let's go to Daniel chapter 7.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. And it reads, After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
So it's showing you that this beast caused a leopard because Alexander the Greek, he destroyed with great speed. In a short period of time, he gained much power. Like he said, he destroyed many nations. And he fell sick and divided with 4 of his brethren that he was raised up with. So that's what the 4 wings and the 4 heads represents. That we're about to read back in Maccabees. Let's get Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2.
Once again, that's Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. Count when everyone's there. And it reads, When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn.
And we're going to read about this wicked man called Antiochus. So he was going wickeder than Alexander. So when the wicked rule, the earth mourns, right? The rhythm right now is the earth not mourning. It's not mankind, but animals as well. We all suffer when the wicked rule. The wicked has no regard for the Most High. They hate the Most High. They have no regard for His creation. All they do is destroy, destroy, destroy. Okay? First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7.
5.
No, we read 5 and 6.
Okay.
Seven to 11.
Yes, sir. And also, what this shows is that our God is truly a God of prophecy. In the book of Daniel, he's prophesying what would the end be. And we're seeing the fulfillment of his words. No other God can do that. Chapter 1.
That's on page 114.
On page 114 in the red book, the water. First Maccabees chapter 1, starting at verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died. And his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
So in verse 11 says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men. These are the so-called leaders of Israel. How are they wicked? Why is the Most High calling them wicked, my people?
They ain't following the law. They doing what they want to do.
They're not following the law, they're doing what they want to do. He says, since we departed from the heathen, we had much sorrows. That's a lie in itself. They were never supposed to make a covenant with the heathen anyway, nor be with the heathen. So because they was with the heathen, they're suffering sorrows. That's how you switch it up. Because when they were with the heathen was giving them great gain. Using them to deceive and lead astray the multitude of us. So today, that's why Christ says, he who man esteems is an abomination to the Most High. Whoever man puts before you as your leaders, no matter how great and wonderful you think they are, all these Obamas, all of them are wicked men. They are not of the Most High. Obama not one time in all his so-called great speeches told the people, the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Indians that you're the children of God, children of Israel. Go back to keep his laws and commandments. It will go well with you. It is your righteousness. You'll be the head, not the tail. Not one time did he say that. But they use these people to get Israel to follow their customs, follow their holidays, their ceremonies, their religious rites in reference to their gods, which is against the law of the God of Israel. Okay? So it says, in those days were there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Now let's go into the law and see what the Bible says about this issue. It said they didn't persuade all, but they persuaded many. Okay?
Next precept, Exodus chapter 23.
Please stay where you're at, because we're going to read about 4 chapters of Maccabees. Okay? So this whole Maccabees and go to Exodus, please. Make it more easy to go back.
Exodus chapter 23, starting at verse 32. And it reads, Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods.
See, we make a covenant or a contract agreement with these people, their gods come with it. What they do, what people do, they do to their gods. Like right now, You can't go in this store without Satan's music on. Saint Nick is Satan. Everywhere you go, these people worship their gods. They just did Thanksgiving. They just celebrated. Our people have been deceived by wicked men like this man, that these men that is talking about. So now our people are celebrating Thanksgiving. The slaughter of their own people, our own people. Now let me ask you a question, because we have this conversation a lot concerning the Sabbath day, which is today. I often say, how can someone take something that's not theirs? Like, the Sabbath is the Most High's. How can man take the Most High's day and say, so-called change it? Right? How can Israel take a heathen holiday and make it theirs? So they got us celebrating the slaughter of ourselves, but saying, no, that's what they do. We just don't use it. It's time that we do, celebrate we do as a family gathering. Are they not, the heathen not having a family gathering? Are you not eating the same meals, sacrifices that they're eating? You can't take what's theirs and make it yours. And make light of it like it doesn't matter. We're going to find out this is why we're in captivity right now. What we're doing right now is the exact same thing these people are doing in the Grecian times. The Most High said, make no covenant with them or with their gods. Thanksgiving is a sacrifice to Satan. Christmas is a sacrifice. Satan said that he'd be like the Most High. The Most High has holy days and required a sacrifice. Satan has holidays and required sacrifices. One is pure and good, the other one is wicked and evil. See? You can't take something that belongs to the heathens. But we're going to show you this is when it all started. Because there was a time prior to this right here when a nation ruled over you, they allowed you to serve your gods. You just had to pay tribute to them, be under them. Right? But let's read further and see how this all happened. So what we're going to find out is that at this time right here, they use violence. Violence. They use fear to convince our people to join their wicked works. And through the violence and fear, our people now is taking the same customs and making light of it, like it don't matter. But it does matter. It makes the God of the Israelites angry. It causes us to serve under oppression the same people we're trying to be like. Read.
Verse 33. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me.
They shall not dwell in thy land. See? The brother says, since we departed from them, we suffered much sorrows. We were not supposed to be mingling with these people anyway. Because again, as I said earlier, because we mingled with them and we watched how they served their gods, it enticed us because these people have always been lawless, have always done what they want to do, how they want to do it. Satan does not care. It's do as thy will. So people are more enticed to do wrong than right. Right? If a brother was told he can have as many wives as he wants, and this other guy is saying that you can only have one, he's watching all these people have all these multiple wives, what do you think he's going to do? If Most High says, not like it's a bad thing, if Most High said, no, Friday night is the Sabbath. Friday night, it turns into Saturday. It's his day. You can't go out and party on his day. But if these people amongst you are having wild parties Friday night, you get what I'm saying? It would be a snare to God's people. Because naturally, our people want to do evil. We want to satisfy the flesh. So if they're among you, they will entice you to sin. If you join yourself to them, the statement is true. Birds of the same feather flock together. So if you're amongst these people constantly, you're going to eventually do what they do. We are living proof of that. Read.
Back to 1 Maccabees, picking up at verse 12.
I shouldn't have said multiple wives. What I should have said was being promiscuous. Promiscuous. Right? That's what I should have said. You know. That goes for females and brothers. People be more enticed like right now. The world is full of promiscuous people, adulterers, fornicators. You know. You come up with all kinds of philosophies and ideologies in your own mind why it's right to you. Right? They convinced us, you know, before you get married, you want to test out the product first. The Most High don't say that. He said, no, you do what I say, and the product is yours. You and the product learn each other as you grow. Therefore, it's a protection because now you have no one to compare this person with. And so it'd be more harder for you to, as the Bible say, hate them. Because you don't know no better. But if you had all these partners, then this one may not measure up. So now you're putting the act above the person. And we should choose the person over the act. Okay? Trying to be PG-13 today? And that, no, PG today. Okay? So y'all understand what I'm saying. Right? Hopefully. Let's get it.
You don't want to hear from Ann Carter, do you?
Huh?
Ann Carter. You don't want to hear from her, do you?
Who?
Ann Carter.
She on there again?
But it's just, I ignored it. That's why I didn't tell you. She just talked about, say something about God and he's in Christ in his faith.
Okay, we're gonna keep going.
We'll keep moving. And Carter, I pray that one day, be Most High will, that that you get a life. But we're gonna stay focused on our class. If you don't like us, stay off our page. You're not my friend. None of that. So I don't know why you continue to go on our page with your nonsense. Go to your church and y'all do what y'all do. Quit interrupting our church. No, I don't hear nothing from her. What?
I'm saying, what you doing it?
I know. This is the last time I'm gonna do it.
Okay,
Let's get it.
Verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
So we go to the heathen. As we say now, we sign a name over in blood. We sign a name we sign a contract with the devil. Now, because we've done this, they use it as an opportunity to train our children with their customs, their sports. They built like a school of training. You can call it athletics.
Okay.
Right? So now our children are desiring to be athletes, to be someone special or great in the Olympics. The Most High never commanded that. Right? So now we see how today we have football camps, basketball camps, baseball camps. This is the stimulation, this is the origin where it all started. They started building schools to train the children of Israel to do their customs, to follow their path, to want to be athletes, to want to be something outside of a servant of the Most High. Read.
Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant.
Everything that they're teaching, everything that they're commanding is against the Bible. It's against the law. Made our children uncircumcised. Not only physically, but uncircumcised also means defiled, tainted. So this training that we're doing is conditioning us outside of our laws and traditions of our fathers. To learn their traditions, their so-called laws, which are really not laws. It's this lasciviousness that's having no moral restraint. Read.
And joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
and was sold to do evil. Read.
Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt.
Now, this is where you get in Egypt right now, how the noses are cut off and the faces changed. But Ptolemy was one of Alexander's partners that took over Egypt. And when they took over Egypt, they cut off, they defaced the black folk, because the original Egyptians were black people. They were not Hebrews. Although we had the same color of skin, they were not us. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Them are the same people that have had us in captivity, hard bondage. But they came, and these people, these white folk, they love erasing history and putting themselves in the place of the original people. Okay, and we're gonna read in a minute how they started to put their likeness in our records. That's why right now you can buy a Bible, you see all these white folks in the Bible. When the Bible talking about black folks. Okay, let's get it.
And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him, and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So we're gonna find out that, and this is why this Bible is so wonderfully written, and it's awesome. For lack of better expressions, this Bible gives us the real history which we would not ever learn in the heathen school system. Okay. Now, when we get done with this lesson, I'm gonna say it now, I'm gonna say it later. But when we get done reading the 4th chapter of the 1st book of Maccabees, I'm gonna beg you to continue reading, because you're gonna read about a lot of wars against the children of Israel from the other nations, which you would never read or see on your Discovery channels. Okay, but the Apocrypha shows the truth. Like, ultimately, all this warfare is against the children of Israel. So this Grecian was taking his own people down to become more powerful, to build a greater army. Because ultimately, his sights have always been against the Hebrews. All these nations, as the Bible says, they have conspired together with one consent to destroy us. Ultimately, their goal has always been to destroy God's people. Read.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censer of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Now, if Israelites at this time was faithful to the Most High, keeping His laws and commandments, this army could have not done what they're doing right now. He would protect us as He always has. And because of we were disobedient, joining ourselves to the heathen, we had no protection. Therefore, they came and destroyed our way, our place of worship to our God, Ahayah, Ahayah, the God of the Hebrews. Okay? Read. So you're gonna see what their pattern. They destroy our way of worship and establish theirs, because it's all about worshiping either the true God or these fallen angels. Right? Read.
He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned. The virgins and young men were made feeble.
Now, when it said virgin, see, in English, virgin means one who never had intercourse. But in the Hebrew language, virgin also means one of marital age. Okay? So it's not just talking about those who never done anything. It's a lot of virgins they're talking about that have husbands and children. Okay? Read.
And the beauty of woman was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness.
And all this we read right now is in the prophets. He prophesied that we will be destroyed by these other nations for our disobedience. So we're reading the fulfillment of prophecy. That's why this is going on. The Most High is allowing it. Because when we're disobedient, he sent another nation to destroy us. Read.
The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years, fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
We paying taxes now. We're subject to payments. Okay? Read.
And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit.
Hold on now. He did what?
Spake peaceable words.
What did Christ say about these people? They do lie. Right? Right now, it's the same thing going on. They came and gave great speeches to our people. We believed them. They came with great deceit. Right now, in turn news, same people in news are these people. They got the same Father. They speak great peaceful words to you, but in their tongue is deceit. They're lying. They can't stand you. They are not for your turn or for the best of you. They're lying to you. They've been doing this forever. This is their pattern. They speak peaceful words, but in their mouth is deceit. Read.
30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel.
See, if you read our Bible, see, this is also, I'm telling you why he took it out. We will learn, that's why the Most High said that we would serve our enemies. Because they're our enemies. Now, am I saying all white people are our enemies? No, he's talking about the rulers. Right? Those who are in positions of power. This is what they do. So right now, if you see they talking about doing something good for you, trust me, Lee, even as the Bible says, when they start speaking peace, no sudden destruction is coming. So whatever they say to you that sounds sweet, trust me, they got a plan for you. If you knew your God and knew your records and held tight to your records, you would know them. You would not trust in them. But the people, children of Israel, we trust in these people. Your so-called government, you trust in them. You rely on them. You vote for them with the pretense that they're going to change your course of life for the better. Treat you as they treat themselves. But through your own history, have you seen that happen? Even when you trusted in the black dude that you said was the greatest president of all time, look at the fruit of his works. Have your neighborhoods changed? Do you have any of those jobs they say was out here? All these thousand jobs that he brought, do you know anyone that got one of those jobs? Or have your condition in your community, your school systems, only gotten worse? But see, they come with peaceable words, but it's deceit. But every 4 years, you get mad at your own brethren, your own sisters who don't want to vote. Because you still believe that by you voting for your enemy, they're going to change your circumstances. And even in their constitution, it states that the populist vote don't matter. A president, so-called president, can get everyone in the country to vote for them and still not be president. They just did it a couple times, didn't they?
Trump.
Yeah. It with Bush too. It don't matter. It's a game to them. Something to keep you distracted, keep you preoccupied, thinking that you got hope in their system. When the Bible tells you, you don't. Our hope is in Christ. His kingdom, our kingdom. But let's get it.
Verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. But the women and children they took captive, and possessed their cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a
Judah, Jerusalem, let's get it.
with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
Now you see how they came and destroyed us and took over our capital?
Uh-huh.
And built it and took us out of there and put their people in our own land, in our great cities. Y'all don't get it. This is the original land. This is the original place where Adam and Eve was at. This is where rulership started, and this is where rulership will always be. And they know that whoever take over this land rules the world. Every nation has set up shop in this locale and ruled from. Right now. They're there right now, ruling the world. Them Romans, them Jews, them same people, them Jewish people right now are ruling the world from Judah, from Jerusalem. Right?
And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men.
They did what?
They put therein a sinful
They
nation.
put there a sinful nation. Who's over there right now? A sinful nation. See how nothing has changed? Read.
Wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it up also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. So they became a sore snare.
Became a sore, a pain in the butt. A snare. And we're going to read about how they became a snare, a sore snare. Let's get it.
For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel.
It was a place, so they know that our people was coming to Jerusalem to worship their gods. Every Sabbath. They laid in wait for those who was faithful to the Most High, those who did not keep the king of the land's laws. He made them not to come back there and worship, to do the things contrary to our laws. And so those who was faithful to the Most High, they was been obedient, so they know they were coming, and they came into a trap. Read.
Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. Next precept, the book of Psalms, chapter 79,
Hold where you are.
starting at verse 1.
Psalm chapter 79, verse 113 reads, O Ahayah, the heathen are come into thy inheritance. Thy holy temple have they defiled. They have laid Jerusalem on heaps. The dead bodies of thy servants have they given to be meat unto the fowls of the heavens, the flesh of thy saints unto the beasts of the earth. Their blood have they shed like water round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. We are become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. How long, Ahayah? Wilt thou be angry forever? So you see why this is going on? Because he's angry with the children of Israel, so he's allowing the other nations to destroy us and tear down what we took pride in, our sanctuary. Shall thy jealousy burn like fire? Why is the Most High jealous? Why is he angry?
Serve others.
His children are serving other gods. and teaching their children to serve the gods that they're serving, not him. Pour out thy wrath upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling place. Oh, remember not against us former iniquities. Let thy tender mercy speedily prevent us, for we are brought very low. See, we was high, now we are brought very low. This is the curse that he promised us we will go through for disobedience. Help us, O Ahayah, God of our salvation, for the glory of thy name, and deliver us, and purge away our sins, for thy name's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, where is their God? Let him be known amongst the heathen in our sight by the revenging of the blood of thy servants which is shed. Let the shining of thy prisoners, let the signing of thy prisoner come before thee. According to the greatness of thy power, preserve thou those that are appointed to die. So, our brethren that's righteous is praying for the people. How long will you be angry with us? Right? We're going back inside to show you this is prophecy. Many are praying to show you that the Most High does not forsake his people. He has not forgotten the covenant he made with our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He will not forget us. No nation will ever wipe us all out. So we're reading about the punishment of our disobedience. We're going to show how the Most High is going to answer this prayer and come through for us. Okay? Read. Next precept. Am I finished?
Verse 12.
And render unto our neighbors sevenfold unto their bosom their reproach, wherewith they have reproached thee, O Ahayah. So we, thy people and sheep of thy pasture, will give thee thanks forever. We will show forth thy praise to all generations. Does the Most High hear the prayers of his people? We're going to find out. Maccabees, 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 38.
And it reads, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. And as had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Sound familiar? All should be one people under God. These are the same people with the same tactic. Okay? This is when all started. All should be one people. This is the law that the king is commanding all his subjects to follow their God, follow their way of life, their culture. Read.
That everyone should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen.
Check it out. Really, the other nations don't really have any laws, right? I mean, like for example, I speak about the Muslims often, right? Okay. They take one law out of our Bible, thou shalt not eat swine. But stop right there, though. There's other abominable foods that we don't have to eat. So they make this one law, and they act like they're good people because they don't eat pork. But pork is the same as a shrimp, a crab, a lobster. It's the same thing. So you take one law, but you still do all these other sins. Okay? But if you weigh the Muslims' way of life to the Bible, they're wicked people. The prophet, the assumed prophet, which I have not read a prophecy that Elijah Muhammad had ever said come true. Not one. All he had done was plagiarize the Bible and say what the Most High has always said. But ultimately, when you come keeping the laws and commandments, the Islamic people and so-called black folks who call themselves Muslims as well, serving the same demonic God, they're lawless people. So, if you're a lawless people, it's not hard to join yourself to a lawless people. The fight comes when you are lawful people. You can't join yourself to unlawful people because that's contrary. That's like light and darkness, right? Read.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
You see, it's no problem. Okay, we won't call him Jupiter. We'll call him Zeus. We won't call him, this name. We'll call him that. But you're still doing the same things. Like Islam and Christianity, they serve the same gods. They just call them a different name. Different name. Ultimately, they serve the same God. The same creator of their religions. The Jew people made the Islamic religion and made Christianity. Same folks behind the scene, just putting different names up on something, but ultimately serving the same gods. One is serving the sun, and one is serving the moon. Either is serving the creator of the sun and the moon. So it don't matter if you change over call this deity by this name and not this name. The laws are really the same. Read.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath.
See, one thing about our people, he's sad. We are a selfish people. There's so many people at this time who dying righteously, standing for their laws. But these people have considered in their mind that they don't want to serve the Most High if it costs them their life. The same God that promised to resurrect you, same God that blessed you with everything, we became intolerant to him, impatient with him. So these folks promised us instant gratification. We're going to find out. Whenever you serve their gods, especially if you're a leader or one that's in a high position, it always comes with money. You think it's by chance that a little pudgy woman who asks you questions on TV is a billionaire now? Oprah Winfrey ain't did nothing special. She hasn't. What talent does she have? All she does is sit before the camera and ask you questions. They gave her billions. They gave her $1 billion. But she's been used as these brothers, right? We read about right now, to do what? Deceive the women, the daughters of Zion. So they always gainfully, pay their puppets to deceive the masses. Okay? Let's use her as an example. That's just one witch that I'm just talking about. But all those people that you see in front of us, the entertainers, are the same. Right now, the Most High is writing the Bible right now. We'll be right now reading about these people that we know right now. Your so-called entertainers, your politicians, your businessmen. Those who have a different philosophy than the Most High will be the ones that he called wicked. Because they will be deceiving many people to follow after them and not the Most High. There's nothing new in the sun. This is the same tactic. But let's go.
Next precept, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 20 through 22.
And show you, see, like, when it's the sacrifices, and sacrifices come with what?
God.
Who? Obviously a God. You sacrifice to a God, but what does it come with? Rituals, ceremonies. So we will see why it's so important, right? See, it will say holiday. The sacrifices are the holidays. It's their ceremonies, their holidays. So there's no servitude to these nations without joining them in their sacrifices, their holidays. But the Most High said that what they celebrate, what they sacrifice to, as you read before, are idols, false gods. This is what they've been doing. This is their history. Right now, today, look around. They serve idols. 1 Corinthians 10.
20.
Let's get it.
And it reads, "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice..."
So check it out. So what I say, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the first of the year, Mama's Day, Daddy's Day, Third Cousin's Day, whatever they got coming up, well, Sweetest Day, right? Read.
"But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils."
To devils. So regardless of how you try to view it and say, well, that's them. My family, we don't really celebrate. The Most High said, yes, you do. You can't take light of this action. This is what it is. The Bible is showing you these holidays are of the devil. Whether you don't believe it or not, this is what the Most High say. These sacrifices are your ceremonies. Okay? Read.
"And not to God."
Not to the Most High. Christmas got nothing to do with God's Son. Nothing. So ask yourself, why do you do it? If it's not in the Bible, why do you do it?
Okay.
When it's written, as I said earlier, he who adds to this prophecy will receive the plagues of this book. So you're adding something that's not in the Bible. So therefore, destruction is awaiting you. No matter how you view it in your heart, how you feel, it does not matter. The Most High said that you are celebrating, sacrificing to devils, not him. Read.
"And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils."
I have not, I desire you not to have fellowship with devils. So ask your pastor, your elder, your bishop, why are we sacrificing or celebrating the holidays that's not in the Bible? Where the Most High said that he commanded us not to have fellowship with this ritual. Why? Could he or she be the ones the apostle called a minister of Satan? Because only a minister or servant of Satan would do his will. A minister of Christ would not teach you or celebrate with you to do as the heathen. Right now, we're about to have a feast when we're done for the Feast of Dedication. When your so-called December 25th come around, we would not be engaged with you. Because we fear the Most High and know him and love him. So how can, as Christ says, one drink of one cup? You cannot drink the cup of the Lord in the cup of Satan. And the only way that happens is when one has what the Bible calls a vain imagination. It's your vain imagination that causes you to compromise and make it all right in your mind. Because you think something don't make it right. It's a vain imagination. These holidays are of the devil. And call them holidays because that's where you're going. The Bible's going to say that shortly. But let's go.
Verse 21. "Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Most High's table and of the table of devils."
So how can you celebrate Christmas? With of the devil.
Okay.
See, we don't view it like that, but that's what it really is. You can't do both. Then ask yourself, if you're getting all geeked and happy and, get ready for Christmas, why aren't you getting geeked for the Feast of Dedication? Why aren't you getting prepared for the Passover that's coming up? Feast of Unleavened Bread. Why? Because you're just cast away God's law, God's holy days, but you go hard for Satan on his days? You have been conditioned and programmed by the heathen, by the Gentiles. A Gentile heathen is a non-Israelite. Read.
Do we provoke the Most High to jealousy?
Didn't the prophet just say, how long would you be jealous? See, when you do this, you anger the Most High. You anger the Most High. Do you anger the Most High? But you never lay it to heart. You never consider that what you're doing angers him. Well, if you read the Bible, you would know that your condition right now on this earth is because you will not let go of your holidays. You will not give the nation's God back to them and serve your God. That's why our people will always struggle into the Most High time for the Gentiles to rule over his people in. There'll be no prosperity for God's children until Christ come back and reward them with prosperity that was obedient to him. But in this world, God's word is true. We are living proof of his prophecy. As we're reading right now in former time, the oppression, the destruction of our people, for the same thing we're doing right now, is happening again, right now. Show you that God's word is true. The Quran don't talk like this. It don't teach like this. Their God don't, no, this is not Allah. This is Ahayah. Our people are suffering the exact same thing we're reading about right now for doing the exact same thing. Joining themselves to the heathen, serving their God, and doing their holidays. And not the Most High Sabbaths and laws. Read.
Are we stronger than he?
Are we stronger than he? So you think you can fight the Most High? I pray for you. Next precept.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verses 44 through 51. And it reads, For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Sent letters, sent a decree that the Israelites should follow the strange laws. See, following the laws of the land is supposed to be strange to us, foreign to us. They made a decree that we had to follow these laws. It says that these Gentiles, their strength would be in their laws. Read.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days.
So that's what we say. See, this is what the Gentiles learn about God's people. If you get them, you cut them off from their way of worship and get them to serve your gods, their gods, they rule over us. This is why they're making such a great effort to do this, to establish this. Because they know when we build this temple and get the priests consecrated and back right and teach these laws and commandments, Ahayah protects his people. And they rule over the Gentiles. This is why they're setting forth so much effort to destroy us spiritually. Read.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
Get it now? Set up temples and all the churches and altars. The churches are altars now. Okay? And they're cooking what? Swine's flesh. A strange, unclean meat to the children of Israel. Made it a commandment, a law that this is what we can eat. Catfish, shrimp, crab, lobster. It says not just swine flesh, but all the other abominable meats. They commanded us to eat it because they know if we eat it, our children will grow up liking it. They're in it for the long play, for the long haul. They're not this people who think for the day. They think about generations. So if you can get me they can get me to eat pork. My son gonna grow up eating pork chops. chitlins, catfish. So when he have children, we think he gonna feed his children. So not only would I teach my son lawlessness, my son would teach my grandchild lawlessness. Therefore, that empowers their children over our children. See how that works? Read.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manners of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
To the end, Israel forget the law. Right now, you got people arguing right now, and the law's done away with. See, this tactic really worked. Yes.
Sister just had a good point back there, saying then they called it soul food.
Good point. Then they call it soul food. Yup. Soul food for real. You get your soul over for this food. Great point, my sister. Soul food. These people slick. We're the only people that they put their brain on. Soul food. These folks sold their soul to eat what their God said don't eat. But then though, what we're gonna learn today, what we're learning right now, if you really pay attention to what's being said right now. See, they had already worked on pulling down and destroying our physical temple. What the Most High said that his children are today. Know you not that you're the temple of the Lord? So not only have they destroyed the physical temple, they have destroyed our temples. Do you get it?
Yes.
So if you have a temple is defiled with abominable meats and practices, the Most High don't dwell in it, nor his Holy Spirit, nor the Spirit of his Son. It's desolate, like the former temple was. Tore down, waste. We're walking around waste right now. Spiritually desolate, defiled, uncircumcised. This is the long, so in the end, this is what it would be. How we are right now. We have forgot our law, and now we're arguing with our people that the law is done away with. To show you the ignorance of our people, to say the law is done away with. It makes no sense for someone who, they must not know the law. So what you're actually saying is God's way of life is done away with. The law is much more greater than the law of sacrifice. That's only a portion of his law. But for to say that God's law is done away with, let me read something to you. I'm just going to read some of Psalms 119. It says, verse 127. Now check out how our father David felt about God's law. Therefore I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Therefore I esteem all thy precepts. All precepts are commandments. He said, therefore I esteem, held high, all thy precepts concerning all things to be right. And I hate every false way. So everything that David said was right coming out of the Most High's mouth, he said, no, don't worry about it anymore. I changed that. Do what you want to do now. Right? Thy testimonies are wonderful. Therefore do my soul keep them. The interest of thy words give light. It gives us understanding into the simple. So the thing that gives understanding to the simple is done away with. Is that what you're saying? It's proof that you're ignorant of God's law. It's not just a law of sacrifice. Yes, that's done away with. Christ become our sacrifice. Get it, finally, in your heads. Look thou unto me, and be merciful unto me, as thou usest to do unto those that love thy name, that kept his commandments. Order my steps in thy word. Order my steps in your word. His law is his word. Our steps are ordered. Our way of life are ordered through his word. You're arguing that it's done away with. Without him ordering our steps through his word, through his law, who's ordering your steps?
Say,
I'm going to stop right there and get back to the lesson. Let's get it.
Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people.
Who are these overseers? See, whoever keep God's law will be killed. Remember I said that they established this by fear of death and death? Who are these overseers that it's talking about? That they established over God's people. They're governors, people who rule the city. They put their own priests in the sanctuaries. See? They put people over Israel who taught them lawlessness. If they found you following your God's law, they killed you. So now, here we go. We're the product of this act right here. People who have no desire to follow God's law. People who rejoice in wickedness. But the Most High has always had a remnant of faithful people who prayers he heard and heard, who would not compromise even to death. Read.
And appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
Anyway, city by city, command us to sacrifice swine's flesh, abominations, cook unclean food, and eat it. Break our laws. Every Sabbath, they put a great, they put great effort to accomplish this, and they have succeeded. Where we at?
Next precept, 2 Maccabees chapter 5, verse 22. Once again, that's the second book of Maccabees chapter 5, verse 22.
Just going to show you who they put over us.
God.
Let's get it.
And it reads, and he left governors to vex the nation.
To do what the nations?
To vex the nation.
So are these governors for our turn? When they vex you, what does that mean? Who? Can raise your hand up? I can't get it like that. Yes.
Hardship, stress.
Hardship, oppression, right? To punish. So right now, they left government. We have governors over God's people who have done nothing but the will of their fathers to vex us. Read.
And he left governors to vex the nation. At Jerusalem, Philip, for his country, Phygerian, and for manners more barbarous than he that set them there.
Thank you.
That set him there.
So people that they put in charge over us were more evil than their masters. Read.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 52. Back to 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 52 through 64. Count when everyone's there.
Go ahead.
And it reads, then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land.
Why did they commit themselves to them and break God's law?
Afraid of death.
They were afraid of death. Read. I'm sorry, brother. I can't be a perfect person, so next time, can you raise your hand, please? Thank you.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, so they committed evils in the land.
So see, now outside God's law, what do our people do? Evils. So you tell people the law is done away with, what are they going to do? Evils. So whoever convinced you is evil and you're evil. Because the law is what makes us righteous. He said the law would be our righteousness. This is what would make us righteous. So outside of his law, there's only one way to go. To evils.
And drove the Israelites into secret places, even where so ever they could flee for secure or safety.
So the ones who they drove out are the ones who didn't compromise. Secure means safe, to make safe. These are the ones who feared the Most High, and they fled from these governors. Okay, read.
Now, the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every
Now
side.
here they go with their statues in God's sanctuary, sacrificing these abominations on the altar. Read.
And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Now here's what I want to ask my people who say this is a white man's book. If this is a white man's book, why are these white folks burning these black folks' books? These Grecians are white people, Edomites. Why are they searching for their own books to burn them? Why are they killing people for following what the books say do? If it's their book. If it was their book, the things that it say, they would be promoting these other people to do. Because it'd be their book, their way of life, their God. They would be giving you their book so you could do what they say do. No. The book was already there outside them, so they wrote letters, made a decree, and told you to do outside of the scrolls of the Hebrews. This is not white man's book. What we read right now is prove all that wrong. They had to write their own letters and teach these black folks how to do outside of their book. Again, if it was their book, why wouldn't they want to give it to these other people, these Israelites? It was their book. Again, it would promote them, their God, their culture, their heritage, their way of life. So they would spread it around like candy. But it's not their book. And it's not their God. So therefore, they went to search the land like with a fine-tooth comb to find our records and burn them. Make law, sent out a decree to kill anyone that does anything that their God say, the God of Hebrews say do. I'm just saying, I know I ain't the sharpest pencil in the box, but I ain't that dull either. I understand that's not true what you're saying, that these white folks use this Bible to enslave God's people. Because it seemed like they was burning up this book to enslave them. Yes.
If they were using it to enslave us, it was to tell us not to read it, not to believe it.
She said if they was using this book to enslave us, it would have to be that they was telling us not to read it. Because that makes no sense, according to history. So how they enslaved us, and enslaved us was to get us outside of our records. Not to have us follow what God say. Makes no sense. Read? Yes.
Real quick. And just real fast, it also dawned on me as well, just like many religions take bits and pieces from the scriptures, and it sounds like what's right and it sounds like the Bible, but it's not the fullness, the same way that Satan operates. So, yeah.
Keep going. Really.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if there's any, because there's a lot of people that's like try to take certain scriptures and say, oh, this is what the slave masters used or whatever the case. Remember, Satan know the scriptures too. Satan used the scriptures too and try to use it to convince people and to confuse you on what it really means and things of that nature. So
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I want to mention this. The Bible says, to be obedient, to the government. Okay? That's true. Right now, if I go out and be disobedient to the government, I'm gonna go to prison. But when it comes to breaking God's law, I would have to be like these brothers and sisters who flee from them. I'm not gonna break God's law if I was government. So when the government comes with their RFID chip, they have to kill me, do something, because I'm not gonna take it. But if they tell me don't speed, which I'm trying to get better at, what else?
No jaywalking.
Anyway. Let's say don't run a red light. Right. Do those things, because that's for your safety too. But that's all it's saying. It's not telling you, master say be a servant and go be a servant. That's not what it's talking about. Even Peter says, judge yourself whom you should serve. God, listen to God or you. We listen to God. So if they come to us some, eat this wine or die, well, you have to kill me. Because I'm not going to give my soul for no food, as we brought up earlier. Right? I'm going to be like the brother that we was about to read about, Judas Maccabees. Okay? Let's get it.
Verse 57. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Get it. Do you see why they take all these records out of the Bible? You get it now? And teach you it's non-canonical. How can you teach in Christianity? How can this book right now be read in a Christian church, and they telling the people that God's law is done away with? When you seeing the whole play, this is how it started. They killed us for reading our records and doing the law. Now they ain't got a key because you're already spiritually dead. The ears are already deaf. Your eyes are already blind. But you don't understand, this is your history. Like the law is so evil. God gave you such an evil law. He felt sorry and said, you know what, my bad, my people. Go out and do wickedly.
Go ahead.
I love you. And you know what I said about judgment? I know your heart. I know you didn't mean to go out and do the things that you've done. I know you tried your hardest. I'm going to forgive you. That's not the God of the Bible. That's the God of these Grecians. Okay? Not the God of the Hebrews. He don't talk like that. Okay? So as Joshua said, if it seems evil to you to serve the Most High, serve Satan. Because everyone who loves his laws, if I was laws, love his laws. Like I love his laws. Like how the psalmist David said, through the words, direct my steps so that I please you. Only a Satanist, a wicked man, a wicked woman will tell you that God's way of life is done away with. These evil people hate our law. They know what obedience, hold on, sister. They know what obedience brings to the children of Israel. Dominion. Yes, sister.
Yeah, I was just going to add to the point you bringing out. It's written in Matthew that to heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall and no wise pass from the law. All be fulfilled.
They don't believe that. They don't get, see they just skip all what you just said. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 19. To heaven and earth will pass. Not one jot or tittle should pass from his law until all be fulfilled. They skip all that factual stuff. See, and say, until it be fulfilled. Well, obviously heaven and earth has not passed. So it's not all fulfilled. Then he goes farther and say, if any man do not the law and teach man so, the same should be called least in the kingdom of heaven. I mean, he'll be destroyed. See, they just don't, all that right there, it's just like, it's just blurry to them. all they see, it shall all be fulfilled. You know. But hey, these laws must be highly important to these people, to our people. Well, these people will go to the state of killing us for doing them, burning our records for reading them, for dispossessing our records. This must be a highly important book, because I'm quite sure at this time there's thousands of books right now in circulation in Greece, because they love knowledge. So it's thousands of books that you can have in your house right now, but you get that Bible though, we're gonna kill you and set it on fire. Read.
Verse 58. Thus did they, by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities.
They didn't stop. This was an every month practice. Read.
Now, the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High.
Now they got to sacrifice the abominations on our altar. See? Your so-called religion matters. The God you serve really matters. Not only are they forcing, they have compelled these people to lay down their God and their laws, but now they're compelling them to sacrifice to their gods. Read.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised, and they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them.
Come on now, let's think about it though. Do you get it now? Do y'all get it now? Who's the greatest weapon to use against a man? I got a hand in there? Can't see. Yes. A woman. A woman and his children. Okay? So now, these women who was faithful to the Most High are getting killed. They're snatching their babies. They're still suckling children, and throwing them off cliffs, off buildings, head first. So what do you think that does for the next woman who's not that spiritually strong? Yes. She's gonna follow suit and join them next Sabbath and sacrifice the idols to save their baby's life. So let's think about what happens after generations and generations of this going on. Would it be that eventually these folks will willfully go and sacrifice the idols and not follow their God's law? Read. 62.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Would this be you? Would you be one of these brothers and sisters who say that they rather die than to defile themselves and break the law of their God and break the covenant? Would that be you? Or will you be the ones who compromise, try to save your life? So you see that our people were not forced to do this. There was a choice. Right? And we're going to read how the Most High see the death of the righteous. Read.
Next precept, Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1 and 2.
Hold where you are. This is testimony that we must keep in our minds, my people, when our time comes.
Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1. The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart, and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in its uprightness.
Read that again, because we must understand and believe this and count on this. So these brothers and sisters who died in their faith, died in their integrity, this is how the Most High sees them. Read.
The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart.
So when these men and women died, our people didn't lay it to heart that they died gloriously, pleasing the Most High, awaiting their reward from the Most High. They looked at it another way and said, I'm not going through that. I'm a compromise. But this is how the Most High sees it, though. Read.
And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come.
They are taken away from the evil to come. What evil is to come? They're going through evil. What evil are they taken away from? Yes.
God's wrath.
God's wrath, His judgment. They are protected. This is what you call being saved. Okay? From His wrath. The evils that come, they're taken away. They're protected from it because they died righteously, gloriously, pleased the Most High in their deaths. So the evil that's coming upon the world, like I said, no harm should touch them. No torment should touch them. Read.
He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness.
Each one walking in his or her uprightness, righteousness. Next precept.
Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8.
Page 59.
Page 59 in the red book.
Open. Chapter 3.
Time when everyone's there.
Time.
And it reads, but the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God.
Then who?
In the hand of God.
What does that mean? The souls of the righteous are in the hands of the Most High. What does that mean? Yes. Saved, protected. Read.
And there shall no torment touch them.
See, that's the evil to come. They're protected from the evil to come. No torment should touch them. Read.
In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery, and their going from us to be utter destruction. But they are in peace.
Let's stop, my people. Seriously, let's just focus for us for a second. Put yourself here. Put yourself here. Let's visualize for us for a second. We have to visualize ourselves being in this position and understand what is really being spoken about right now. If we die gloriously, righteously, this is a promise. Do y'all believe that?
Time.
This is a promise. This walk is not for the faint of heart. This is a promise. So as Christ says, should we fear death? Or should we believe that if we die, we'll be in the hands of the Most High? These brothers and sisters did. Read.
For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For God proved them and found them worthy for Himself.
I tell you something. I was talking to a sister in the church a while ago, right? About this. You know, when it comes to Judgment Day, as the scriptures say, we should be able to stand boldly with confidence. The Most High is a God of promises. He's faithful and true. As Christ said, His word is faithful and true. This, what He's saying, is a promise. If we're righteous, our reward is great. We have to believe it. Immortality is promised to us. We have to believe it, or you will not make it. It says, and having been a little chastised, they should be greatly rewarded, for God proved them and found them worthy for himself. We must be found worthy for the Most High. Worthy means we have to prove ourselves to him. Do y'all get it?
Turn.
So if you're keeping the Most High's law and commandments, there's nothing wrong with being confident. But confidence with humility must balance itself. We can't be too confident. But the Most High says that if we do these things he said do, no torment should touch us. So there's no reason for us to walk around here sad, moping, that kind of stuff. We should walk around, with a strong, bright countenance. Okay? Read.
As gold in the furnace hath he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine, and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations.
You see what happens to the children of Israel who are obedient and die faithfully? Showing you that the Gentiles are not Israelites. Because these Israelites will judge the Gentiles. Read.
They shall judge the nations, and have dominion over the people.
And have dominion over the people. This is a promise to us. Read.
And their Lord shall reign forever.
And Yahshua should rule forever. Read.
Next precept. 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1 through 38.
Now, our people been going through a thing with these heathens, crying out, fasting to the Most High. The Most High is going to show us that he heard their prayers. Okay? Let's get it.
And it reads, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John.
Who rose him up? Can I get a hand in the air? Who rose up Mattathias? Anyone know?
You want to let everybody know who Mattathias is first?
Get it.
No, I'm...
Mattathias is a righteous man who had righteous children. Right? Yes.
Had to be.
Who was a Levite. Okay? Yes?
Had to be the Most High who rose him up.
The Most High rose him up. He has chastised his people for their disobedience. Many of us died for disobedience, as it always goes through our history. Now, it's enough. Now, he raised up his servant to go fulfill his will. Okay? Read. Yes.
Some people want to know his Gentile.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You stopped
Yep.
early.
The what?
Yep. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons: Johanan, called Caddis, Simeon, called Thasai, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphas. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me! Wherefore I was born to see this misery of my people, and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom, and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she is become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Mattathias and his son rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers, and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore, come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends.
Did y'all see that? So they always offer us money and fame. If you break God's law before your people who look up to you, you be the king's friend. You'll be rich. You get it? Read.
So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice through all the nations, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenants of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin according to the king's commandment. Which thing Mattathias saw, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also, the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God.
A great warrior for the Most High. He killed the brother who was sacrificing the abominations according to the king's commandment, and the brother that came trying to get them sacrificed. Read.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri the son of Salam.
Y'all remember that? You finished? Phinehas, y'all remember him? Yes.
He's the one with the who went in the tent and stabs.
My man. This was when the children of Israel had taken strange wives, or foreign wives, Gentile wives, and had children. And one of them came back with, boasting with his little wife, and Phinehas was filled with the Spirit of the Most High, and with a javelin, pierced him and her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's their father. Okay, read.
And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many sought after justice and judgment. Many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now, when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day. And they said unto them, Let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live.
Check it out. They know our law, but they don't have a thorough understanding of our law. So they know that we can't make war. It's written that we cannot make war on the Sabbath. So they come up on the Sabbath, okay, and say, "Let what you have done be good enough. Like you separate yourself, but come about what the king say, and we won't kill you." Okay, read.
But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they lay hid, but said,
Go ahead.
let us die in all our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully.
Now here's the thing. You have to respect these brothers and sisters because they did, in their mind, what was right. But they didn't have a thorough understanding of the law. Okay? And we will show you what we mean by that. So will they be punished by the Most High for not properly following the Sabbath? No. Because according to their knowledge, they did what was right. It says make no war, so they separate themselves and they died in their righteousness, according to the knowledge that they had. Okay? They will show you how the Most High corrected this later. Read. Where we at?
38, verse 38.
38.
So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children and their cattle to the number of 1,000 people.
So 1,000 of my brothers and sisters got slaughtered for keeping the Sabbath to the best of their ability. Okay? This is why it's very important for us to gather, right? So that we can come together and get thoroughly edified, thoroughly educated to understand thoroughly His law. Okay? To the best of the faith and the wisdom He grants us. But we're going to go over the law that they was following and show you how they erred. And why later, it was not changed, it was just properly it was properly executed. Okay? Are we there yet?
Come.
Okay. Jubilees chapter 50, we're going to start at we're going to read verse 12. I read it. It's not in there. They took this out too. It says, and every man who does any work thereon, this is going over the laws of the commandments of the Sabbath. Every man who does any work thereon, or goes on a journey, or till his farm, whether in his house or any other place, and whoso lights a fire, or ride on any beast, or travels by ship on the sea, whosoever strike, check it out, whosoever strike or kill anything, that's where they're lacking, the understanding of the law. Or slaughter any beast or a bird, or whosoever catches an animal, or a bird, or a fish, or whoever fasts, or make war on the Sabbath, or make war on the Sabbath. It says, the man who does any of these things on the Sabbath day should die, so that the children of Israel shall observe the Sabbath according to the commandments regarding the Sabbath of the land, as it is written in the tablets, which he gave into my hands, to Moses, that I should write out for thee the laws of the seasons and the seasons according to the division of their days. Speaking about that, today is actually the first day of winter. It's intercalarial day. Did I say it right? Okay. Intercalarial. It's new month, new moon. So today is the first day of winter to the Most High. Now, when you read that, it's anyone that kill anything, kill a fish, make war. Mm-hmm. That don't apply to their situation. They're not going out hunting anybody. That's what's wrong. This is what you personally want to do. If you personally go hunting, you'll be destroyed for doing something on the Sabbath. If you kill a beast, you'll be destroyed. If you make war, it don't say if you defend yourself, someone make war against you. Now if you kill, you in self-defense. That's the law. The law states we can defend ourselves. You're not making war, someone's making war with you. You get it? So we want to show you how the Most High put it in Judas. Like, nah, they come around here again on the Sabbath, kill. Okay? Let's go. Yeah, because if you just, think about it, if that's the case, every Sabbath, right now, we'll be done away with. They're on the Sabbath and just kill us all. But that's why it says we need a teacher. Because if you read this, it says anyone that kill anything, who makes war. And that's a doctrine. That right there became a doctrine. So they all conclude in their mind that they would break the Sabbath if they fought on the Sabbath. But that's not what the law is saying. It's not. Right? Let's go.
1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 39. Now, when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will now quickly root us up out of the earth.
Is that what the Most High wants?
No.
Huh.
At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day.
See the difference? See, the Most High put in the Spirit said, whosoever come to make war against us on the Sabbath. He never said, this time we're going to make war with them. See, whosoever come to make war or make battle against us. Read.
We will fight against him. Neither will we all die, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law.
Who are these Assyrians? Assyrians, right? Let's get Psalms 50, verse 5. You see what Most High is doing. Y'all should know that by her. Gather to me my who? It reads, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So now the Most High is gathering his people to strengthen our army against the heathen. Okay? Back to 1 Maccabees chapter, where we at? 2, verse 71, 43. And it reads, also, all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them. So I said, the Most High is gathering his people together. Right? So they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger. So now we're killing our own people that were sinners. See how the law states that we must kill those who break his law? But now we're in the grace, we can't kill sinners. Okay? Christ is going to do that. It says, because if you get these people who have no faith and they sinners, it destroys the whole flock. Right? It says, so they joined their forces and smote sinful men in their anger and wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for secure or for safety. So these are the ones, like I said, who's really against us, who wanted to live as a heathen. Right? Then Mattathias asked, and his friends went round about and pulled down the altars. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hand. Now, why is this work prospering now? Because before we heard us is getting destroyed. Now when there's enough chastising, the Most High heard the prayer, and now his spirit is in these brothers. Right? So all this work, first one was clean the evil, clean the filthy things from our midst, and get ready for war. See? It says 48. So they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles. Get that? See how they always took our records? Now, check it out. When they found them amongst us, they burnt them, but they didn't destroy them all. They kept them. They kept some. Therefore, they can read and see and use it against us. How use it against us? Make us sin. That's what the Bible says. When we sin, we fall. Okay? They rule. So it says, and out of the hand of the kings, neither suffered they the sinners to triumph. Now, when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, now have pride. I told you it's a such thing as good pride when it comes to the Most High, right? And rebuke
gotten strength in the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law. See, we teach our children to be zealous for the law, not teaching them against the law. And give your life for the covenant of your fathers. Do y'all get the difference between the righteous and the wicked? Be zealous of God's law and be prepared to give your life for the covenant the Most High made with our fathers. And we will be rewarded greatly as we just read. 51. This is what's important. This is why I tell y'all, you have to read this Bible and concentrate, meditate on these testimonies. Why? As we say, it builds faith. He's telling his sons this for a reason. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation? It was imputed unto him for righteousness. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. Phineas, our father, and being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Joshua, it says Jesus, but Joshua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elias, or Elijah, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocence, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him should be overcome. Do y'all get this? This is why I said these testimonies are so important. They're not just written for nothing. The Most High protected them, provided for them, sustained them. He would do it for us as well. But we don't know these testimonies. We have no foundation to build our faith on.
That's why they took this out of the Bible.
I'm trying to tell you, so it's real. And it gets way deeper too. Potiphar ain't no joke. Way deep. It breaks it down. It destroys Christianity. That's why they took it out. 61. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him should be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory should be dung and worms. Today he should be lifted up, and tomorrow he should not be found, because he returned unto his dust, and his thoughts is come to nothing. Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law. I mean, this to the brethren up in here. This is why we're talking about my people. This is commandment for us. It says for us to be valiant. Valiant. Do y'all know what that means? Brave. And show ourselves men in behalf of the law. Show ourselves men in behalf of the law. Soldiers for Christ. Standing up, not compromising. Willing to die for our nation. Die for our family here. Standing up, not bending for nothing. Being true leaders of the flock. For by it shall ye obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He should be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain, and fight the battle. Take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people. Recompense fully the heathen, pay them back, and take heed to the commandments of the law. So he blessed them and was gathered to his fathers. And he died in the 146th year. And his sons buried him in the sepulchres of his fathers at Modim. And all Israel made great lamentations for him.
3:1. Okay. It says, then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in Sirach 30. I knew I was going somewhere. Go again.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 30 in the Apocrypha, verse 3 through 6. And it reads, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy.
Teach his son what?
The law.
The law, the same thing Mattathias just did. He that teaches his son the righteousness, right?
And before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends.
That not what we're reading right now? Is Judas and his brothers like his father? Yes. Your hand up, sister? Okay. Let's get it. Chapter 3. Verse 1. Through chapter 5, verse 3.
Once again, that's 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. So he gat his people great honor, and put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles, protecting the host with his sword. In his axe he was like a lion, and a lion's whelp, roaring for his prey. For he pursued the wicked, and sought them out, and burnt up those that vexed his people. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him, and all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his axe, and his memorial is blessed forever. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel, so that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish. Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together in a great host out of Samaria to fight against Israel, which thing when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him, and so he smote him and slew him. Many also fell down slain, but the rest fled. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius his sword also, and therewith he fought all his life long. Now when Saran, a prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of the faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will go fight with Judas and them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment. So he made him ready to go up, and there went with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel. And when he came near to the going up of Bethor Haran, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, and said unto Judas, how shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with the God of heaven it is all one, to deliver with a great multitude or with a small company. For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but the strength cometh from heaven. they come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, and our wives and children, and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. Wherefore, the Most High himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them. Now, as soon as he had left off speaking, he leapt suddenly upon them. And so Saran and his host was overthrown before him. And they pursued them from the going down of Beth Horon unto the plain, where were slain about 800 men of them. And the residue fled into the land of the Philistines. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren, and an exceeding great dread to fall upon the nations round about them. Insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas. And when King Antiochus heard these...
That all nations talk about these battles of our people. They knew that the God of heaven fought for this people. So what we're doing is known across the whole world. That's why today, my people, when we get stopped by the police, or you come to the hood, it'd be so many of them. They know our history. Okay? They don't come one card. They come trooped up. Because they still fear us. Read?
Now, when King Antiochus heard of these things, he was full of indignation. Wherefore, he sent and gathered together all the forces of his realm, even a very strong army. He opened also his treasure, and gave his soldiers pay for a year, commanding them to be ready whensoever he should need them. Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasures failed, and that the tributes in the countries were small, because of the dissension and plague which he had brought upon the land in taking away the laws which had been of old time, he feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abounded above the kings that were before him. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries, and to gather much money. So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt, and to bring up his son Antiochus until he came again. Moreover, he delivered unto him the half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him charge of all things that he should have done, as also concerning them that dwelt in Judah and Jerusalem, to wit, that he should send an army against them to destroy and root out the strength of Israel and the remnant of Jerusalem, and to take away their memorial from that place, and that he should place strangers in all their quarters, and divide their land by lot. So the king took half of the forces that remained, and departed from Antioch, his royal city, the 147th year. And having passed the river Euphrates, he went through the high countries. Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Dormenes, and Nicanor, and Gorgias, mighty men of the king's friends. And with them he sent 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen to go into the land of Judah and to destroy it, as the king commanded. So they went forth with all their power, and came and pitched by Emmaus in the plain country. And the merchants of the country, hearing the fame of them, took silver and gold very much with servants, and came into the camp to buy the children of Israel for slaves. A power also of Syria and of the land of the Philistines joined themselves unto them. Now, when Judas and his brethren saw that the miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people and utterly abolish them.
To do what?
To destroy the people and utterly abolish them.
That's the ultimate goal. It's always been that, to destroy us and utterly abolish us, eradicate us. Read.
They said one to another, let us restore.
You get the 4, I read.
They said one to another, let us restore the decayed estate of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary. Then was the congregation gathered together, that they might be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion.
See the war tactic? To pray and ask for mercy from the Most High to protect us and fight for us. Read.
Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens or Gentiles kept this.
Just like it. No, not aliens from outer space somewhere, as they teach us.
Right,
These are Gentiles. Alien nation, strangers. They are our standard words for a heathen or a Gentile, not an Israelite. But you see how our physically and spiritually, when we are at warfare, we must not lean on our own strength, but we must pray to the Most High. That's why I tell y'all, before we get engaged in conversation about the Most High, pray first. It's a spiritual war, right? And spiritually, you see how the righteous, he doesn't lean on his own strength or armies. It don't matter how we can be 4 of us. It can be 10,000 of them, we will win because the Most High will fight for us if we stay faithful to him and trust in him. Read.
The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mashpah over against Jerusalem, for in Mashpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes.
For those who don't know what sackcloths are, they're made with this material that's very uncomfortable. It's itchy, right? So you're afflicting your soul. You're afflicting yourself. So remember, they're fasting and praying and putting on sackcloths. Most I can hear them. They're leaning on him. They're cleaving to him.
Ashes on their forehead is what?
It's just showing that you're humble, just humbling yourself. You know what I mean? Read.
And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
This is when they started doing what? Painting images of themselves, right? So this is nothing new. This is why we've been whitewashed now, because the same people are still doing the same thing. Because they're putting images of themselves, and through these school systems that they have set up, they're teaching our children falsehoods like they're doing right now. Put themselves in our places. Read.
They brought also the priest's garments, and the first fruits, and the tithes, and the Nazarites they stirred up, who had accomplished their days. Then cried they with a loud voice toward heaven, saying, What shall we do with these? And whither shall we carry them away? For thy sanctuary is trodden down and profaned, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low. And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us, thou knowest. How shall we be able to stand against them, except thou, O Ahayah, be our help? Then sounded they with trumpets and cried with a loud voice. And after this, Judas ordained captains over the people, even captains over thousands and over hundreds, and over 50s and over 10s. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house, according to the law. So the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. And Judas said, Arm yourselves, and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us in our sanctuary. For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people and of our sanctuary. Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven, so let him do. chapter 4.
Then took Gorgias 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was at Emmaus, while as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas, and when he found no men there, he sought them in the mountains. For said he, these fellows flee from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong as well and well harnessed, and compassed around about with horsemen, and these were experts of war. Then said Judas to the men that were with him, Fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now therefore let us cry unto heaven, if peradventure Ahayah will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day, so that all the heathen may know that there is one who delivers and saves Israel. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out to the camp to battle. But they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets, and they joined battle. And the heathen, being discomforted, fled in the plain. Howbeit all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword. For they pursued them unto Gazirah, and unto the plains of Idumea, and Azotus, and Jamnia, so that there was slain of them upon a 3,000 men. There was slain of them upon a 3,000 men. Upon a 3,000 men.
You said it right.
Okay. This done, Judas returned again with the host from pursuing them, and said to the people, Be not greedy of the spoils, insomuch as there is a battle before us. And Gorgias and his hosts are here by us in the mountain. But stand ye now against our armies, and overcome them. And after this, ye may boldly take the spoils. And Judas was yet speaking these words. There appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who, when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight, and were burning the tents from the smoke that was seen, declared what was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas in the plains ready to fight, they fled every one into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to the sport of tents, where they got much gold and silver and blue silk and purple of the sea, and great riches. After this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Most High in heaven, because it is good, because his mercy endured forever. Thus Israel had great deliverance that day. Do y'all get what just happened? Do y'all notice every time we went to war, we was greatly outnumbered? They had 100-some thousand people more than what we had. But they was flee. But when we started fighting them, they fled. Do y'all get it? It was the Most High.
Oh, clearly.
Okay? Which also come with the promise of obedience, which we're going to read at the end of this. It says, 25, Thus Israel had great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened, who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he would were done unto Israel, nor such things as the king commanded him were come to pass. The next year, therefore, following Lysias, gathered together 80 6,000, which is 60,000, choice men of foot, and 5,000 horsemen, that he might subdue them. So they came to Idumea and pitched their tents at Bethshua, and Judas met them with 10,000 men. Now what's that? They got 65,000 to 10,000, right? And when he saw the mighty army, he prayed. Again, he prayed and said, "Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who did quell the violence of the mighty men by the hand of thy servant David, and gave the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan the son of Saul, and his armor bearer. Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Israel, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving." So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men, even before them were slain. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judas' soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antiochia and gathered together in company of strangers. Now this manliness of these soldiers was what? The Spirit of God in them. How they fought was unknown. Like you said, like even in David's time, one soldier killed 800 men. These things they were doing was humanly impossible. They had the Spirit of God in them. Okay? It says, "And having made his army greater than it was, he proposed to come again into Judea. Then said Judas and his brethren, Behold, our enemies are discomforted. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up to Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and scrubs growing in the courts, as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes, and made great lamentations, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried towards heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until they had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose priests blameless, of blameless conversation or behavior, conduct, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary, and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense, and the table. And upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lit it, that they may give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the work which they had begun to make. Now on the 5th and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, which early in the morning, and offered sacrifices according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made. Look, at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even in that which it was dedicated with songs, and citrons, and harps, and cymbals, that all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season, from year to year, by the space of 8 days, from the 5th and 20th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they builded up the Mount Sion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down, as they had done before. And they set the garrison to keep it, and fortified Beshur to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. Can you give me that? Somebody give me the dictionary. Let me see. We see right here, Idumea, pertaining to Edom, Greek and Roman name for Edom, right? So when you see Idumea, that's their main, So we're going to see that our number one enemy is Esau, okay? And it's going to go farther. It says, chapter 5, verse 1. Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, check it out. When the nations round about, so these nations know our history, who we are. That's why this whole war, this whole thing going on is ultimately against us. We're just blind to this fight. It says, and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Why did it displease them? You know, when we did this, all the people served the Most High because you didn't, the king or the priest was killing you. All the sinners was rooted out, right? Wherefore, they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabia time, because they besieged Israel, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils. Okay? So it's sad that this is taken, it's true, but it's prophecy that they're taking our records out, because you will really see who our enemies are. Like, I encourage y'all to continue reading, because you're going to see all these battles and see how the nations really feel about us. You know, how they take this out in this start our history with slavery. But this is very important history. We'll see that these nations have always been against us. They have never, like I said, the narrative Bibles have never been for our turn. So whatever they're promising, they're lying. This new world order does not include us. It does not. This new world order does not include us. Okay? Now, what I want to show this last precept is the Most High fulfilling His promise. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 to 2. So when we're reading about these people fleeing, this is why they're fleeing. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 reads, and it shall come to pass, if thou shouldst hearken diligently unto the voice of Ahayah thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Ahayah thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Ahayah your God. So let me ask y'all a question. When Judas and them was born doing their thing, was there any kingdom ruling over them? You get it? Now let's go down to verse 7 to 10. Ahayah shall cause thy enemies that raise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. Were they not doing this? 100-some thousand. It's 10,000 us. They fleeing. 5,000 men died. They gone. Why? They have greater numbers. Prophecy being fulfilled. The Most High keep his promises. Right? Verse 8. Ahayah shall command the blessings upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thy hand unto, and shall bless thee in the land which Ahayah thy God giveth thee. Ahayah shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of Ahayah thy God, and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Ahayah, and they shall be afraid of thee. Were we not reading that throughout this testimony? Were they not all nations afraid of us? So again, it's prophecy. The Most High has always come through. Right? So, what we just read, we had to read about why the temple had to be rebuilt and rededicated. And I aired earlier when I said that Christ was going to the original temple. This is before Christ. This is like 200 years, 170 years before Christ. Okay? Because Christ came in the Roman Empire, in the 4th beast era. Right? But he's showing that because of our wickedness, our evildoing, the Most High allowed the Grecians to take us down. Okay? But because of the remnant of the faithful, the righteous, he answered their cry. And he came and destroyed them, put us back into our respectful place. Right? We rebuilt the temple, and the spirit and the inspiration of the Most High, he said we're to keep this 8 days every year. The Feast of Dedication. Okay? So, now, this as we spoke about earlier. The spiritual part of this right here is us. Let us no longer be defiled. Let our temple be defiled in the things the Gentiles or Satan has taught us to do. I was talking to a brother here a couple days ago, and I told him, everything that you know and been taught and believe, Satan taught you that. I'm about to do a song about it in a minute. Right? But everything. You see, these nations, they hated when we rebuilt our temple and got back to the pure worship of the Most High. Right now, this is why they feed us and they do all these poisons, these GMOs that they're trying to keep our temples defiled. Let us not make our souls abominable with meats. Okay? Let us not make our souls abominable with the worship of other gods. Let's keep our temple, keep our vessels clean, so the Most High can bless us and keep his promises that he has promised our fathers, as we've seen throughout this testimony. We are the temple now. We are the temple. You see how they just didn't tear down the temple. They got rid of everything. He said, no, because it reproached us. It was tainted. So all the things that we are so-called struggling with, throw them away. Throw them away. Make sure your temple stays clean. It matters. Okay? So let's look at this temple, the physical temple, how the Most High saw it, and how he look at us. We must be the same as that temple. Pure, clean, undefiled. With that concludes our lesson. Time to break bread, have a couple glasses of wine, and get it in. Any questions, comments? Yes.
That was so good.
All praise to Ahayah, man.
It sounded cold. Like when I was reading it, it sounded like it could be like a series or something. Like, don't it? It's like.
But do you know that most of the movies are from the Bible? Like movie 300, it's from the Bible. All these stories and stuff in TV, they come from the Bible. Keep reading. Let's keep reading through this right here. You're gonna see these brothers fought all their life. The heathen, I'm telling you, they fought all their life. The Maccabees were no joke. They fought. Judas died in war. Okay? He was courageous, for real, the truth. Our men were not as we are today. That's why the Bible says through the curse that men would be a few. There won't be a few men like this right here in our day. Most of our men will be tender, effeminate, not men of the Most High. Yes, sister.
Now you can see that the battle is really against us because who men, even back when I was a kid, compared to now, like 1 out of every 2 is, effeminate. All boys was little rough house boys, back in the day. So when a battle comes, who's gonna protect it?
Exactly.
Well, most times.
Yeah. What's that, brother? Yeah, come in, brother.